2025 Cambodia-Thailand border tensions, analyzing the strategic implications of territorial disputes on Southeast Asia's stability. Introduction. The Cambodia-Thailand border tensions of 2025 have brought to the forefront the complex geopolitical landscape of Southeast Asia. This report examines the background, recent developments and strategic implications of these territorial disputes, focusing on how they threaten regional stability. Background and causes of tension. The roots of the Cambodia-Thailand border conflict lie in historical territorial claims, particularly concerning the Preah Vihear Temple. This ancient Hindu temple, awarded to Cambodia by the International Court of Justice (ICJ) in 1962, has been a long-standing point of contention. Both nations assert rights over surrounding areas which are rich in natural resources, fueling nationalistic sentiments and military posturing. Territorial claims. Preah Vihear Temple. The ICJ's ruling has not settled disputes over adjacent territories. Resource-rich areas, both countries seek control over land that could yield economic benefits, intensifying the conflict. Recent developments. 1. Military engagement. In June 2025, tensions escalated sharply as both nations exchanged artillery fire, marking a significant increase in military engagement. Thailand's airstrikes in response to perceived provocations from Cambodia signal a dangerous escalation in hostilities, as reported by the Center for Strategic and International Studies (SISE). 2. Diplomatic efforts. Despite the military confrontations, diplomatic channels have remained active. ASEAN leaders have emphasized the need for dialogue to de-escalate tensions, highlighting the organization's critical role in mediating disputes in the region. 3. Economic implications. The ongoing conflict poses severe economic risks. A report from Invest indicates that such unrest could deter foreign investment, as investors become concerned about the potential for prolonged instability disrupting trade routes and markets across Southeast Asia. Strategic implications. The Cambodia-Thailand border tensions extend beyond bilateral issues and pose significant threats to regional stability. Impact on ASEAN integration. The integration of ASEAN markets could suffer if the conflict escalates further. Economic interdependence is vital for growth, and ongoing disputes threaten this stability. Military resource allocation. Increased military presence along the border diverts resources from critical economic development initiatives, forcing both nations to prioritize defense budgets over growth. Regional security dynamics. The conflict could invite external powers to become involved, complicating the geopolitical landscape further. Key points of convergence. A number of points emerge from various analyses. Historical roots. All sources acknowledge the historical context of the territorial disputes and the role of nationalism in exacerbating tensions. Need for dialogue. There is a consensus on the necessity of diplomatic resolutions, with ASEAN's mediating role highlighted as critical. Economic risks. The potential economic fallout from ongoing tensions is universally acknowledged, with concerns over investment and trade disruptions. Differences in perspectives. While Reuters and SISE focus on military engagements and immediate tensions, Invest provides a broader economic analysis. This divergence illustrates the various angles from which the conflict can be approached, whether through military implications or economic strategies. Timeline of events. 1962, the ICJ rules in favor of Cambodia regarding the Preah Vihear Temple. Recent years, intermittent skirmishes and military posturing have characterized the border region. June 2025, a significant escalation occurs, with artillery exchanges and airstrikes reported, drawing international attention and calls for ASEAN intervention. Conclusion. The border tensions between Cambodia and Thailand in 2025 exemplify the fragile nature of stability in Southeast Asia. The interplay between military engagements and economic implications creates a complex environment requiring careful navigation by regional leaders, as ASEAN's involvement remains crucial. The ongoing situation demands close monitoring and proactive diplomatic efforts to prevent further escalation and foster peace in the region. References: 1. Reuters. 2025, Why are Thailand and Cambodia fighting along their border? Retrieved from Reuters www.reuters.com/world/Asia-Pacific/ Why are Thailand Cambodia fighting along their border 2025-06-06/. 2. Center for Strategic and International Studies Size. 2025, Thailand launches airstrikes amid border dispute with Cambodia. Retrieved from CSS https://www.size.org/analysis/Thailand launches airstrikes amid border dispute Cambodia. 3. Invest. 2025, Geopolitical Tensions and Investment Strategies, Assessing Thailand-Cambodia Border Conflict Impact on ASEAN Markets. Retrieved from invest/www.invest.com/news/Geopolitical Tensions Investment Strategies Southeast Asia Assessing Thailand-Cambodia Border Conflict Impact ASEAN Markets 2507/. The border tensions between Cambodia and Thailand in 2025 have revealed several counterintuitive aspects of the situation that challenge conventional understandings of territorial disputes and their implications for regional stability. Counterintuitive information. 1. Military escalation versus diplomatic engagement. It may seem that military actions, such as artillery exchanges and airstrikes, would lead to a complete breakdown of dialogue. However, in this case, despite heightened military engagement, diplomatic channels have remained active. This suggests that countries may utilize military postures as a means to strengthen their negotiating positions rather than as a prelude to complete conflict. The continued calls for ASEAN-mediated dialogue amidst hostilities indicate a dual strategy where nations seek both to assert their claims and to maintain avenues for de-escalation. 2. Economic interdependence and conflict. The expectation might be that territorial disputes would lead to a complete withdrawal of economic cooperation. However, the situation presents a paradox where, despite the potential for conflict to deter foreign investment, both Cambodia and Thailand are still engaged economically with each other and the broader ASEAN region. The fear of instability does not necessarily halt economic ties, rather, it can lead to strategic recalibrations that may strengthen certain sectors, especially those tied to national security and defense. 3. Nationalism versus regional stability. While one might assume that rising nationalistic sentiments would lead to a breakdown in regional cooperation, the opposite effect can occur in this scenario. Nationalism can serve as a double-edged sword. While it fuels tensions, it also pushes countries to seek stronger alliances within regional frameworks like ASEAN. This is a counterintuitive dynamic where the same forces that exacerbate conflict can also encourage attempts at multilateral resolution as nations seek to avoid isolation and economic fallout. 4. Local versus global perceptions of conflict. The conflict is primarily viewed through a local lens, focusing on military actions and territorial claims. However, the broader economic implications across Southeast Asia suggest that the conflict could be perceived as a symptom of larger geopolitical shifts, including the influence of external powers in the region. This reveals a counterintuitive reality where local disputes can have global significance, influencing international investor confidence and strategic alignments beyond the immediate conflict zone. 5. Resource allocation. It is often assumed that military conflicts drain national resources and divert them away from development. However, the current tensions have led both nations to reconsider their defense strategies and investments in border security. This could paradoxically lead to increased military spending, which might also stimulate local economies through defense contracts and employment in security sectors, thus challenging the notion that conflict inevitably leads to economic decline. 6. ASEAN's role in conflict. There is a general perception that regional organizations like ASEAN are ineffective in managing disputes. Yet the ongoing involvement of ASEAN in mediating the Cambodia-Thailand tensions demonstrates that such organizations can play a crucial role in conflict resolution. even amid tensions. This points to a counterintuitive realization that regional cooperation frameworks can serve as vital stabilizing forces even when member states are in conflict. 7. Short-term conflict versus long-term stability. The immediate military actions may suggest a trend towards long-term instability. However, historical patterns indicate that many territorial disputes eventually lead to negotiated settlements. This suggests that while the current situation appears dire, the long-term trajectory may favor resolution and stability, contradicting the assumption that escalated hostilities inevitably lead to prolonged conflict. Conclusion. The complexities surrounding the 2025 Cambodia-Thailand border tensions illustrate that the dynamics of territorial disputes are not straightforward. The interplay of military actions, diplomatic efforts, and economic considerations reveals a landscape where counterintuitive realities challenge conventional wisdom. Understanding these nuances is crucial for stakeholders aiming to navigate the challenges of regional stability in Southeast Asia. The 2025 border tensions between Cambodia and Thailand represent a pivotal moment in Southeast Asia's geopolitical landscape, revealing underlying factors that many may overlook. While the immediate military confrontations and diplomatic responses are often highlighted, several significant elements merit deeper examination due to their broader implications for regional stability. Overlooked aspects of the tensions. 1. Historical context of territorial claims. The historical roots of the dispute are crucial in understanding the current dynamics. The Preah Vihear Temple's designation by the International Court of Justice in 1962 is often cited, but the historical narratives shaping national identities in both countries are frequently underestimated. Nationalism in Cambodia and Thailand has been stoked by historical grievances, influencing public sentiment and government policies. This intertwined history complicates the possibility of resolution, as both sides may feel deeply justified in their claims, making compromise more challenging. 2. Economic interdependence and its fragility. The economic implications of the conflict extend beyond immediate investor concerns. The interconnectedness of ASEAN economies means that instability in Cambodia and Thailand could have cascading effects on neighboring countries. For instance, disruptions in trade routes could affect supply chains across the region, leading to broader economic repercussions that extend to nations like Vietnam and Malaysia. The potential for regional economic destabilization is significant and often overlooked in discussions that focus solely on the bilateral dispute. 3. Role of external influences. While the focus tends to be on the immediate parties involved, external influences, such as international powers with vested interests in Southeast Asia, can shape the conflict's trajectory. The United States and China have strategic interests in the region, and their responses to the conflict could influence ASEAN's ability to mediate effectively. The potential for external actors to exacerbate tensions or offer support to one side over the other is a crucial dimension that is often glossed over. 4. Impact on ASEAN's credibility. The effectiveness of ASEAN in managing regional disputes is at stake. The organization's ability to mediate this conflict will either reinforce or undermine its credibility as a stabilizing force in Southeast Asia. Failure to address the tensions adequately could lead to a perception of ASEAN as ineffective, prompting member states to seek bilateral or even unilateral approaches to security challenges. This shift could further fragment regional cooperation, which is essential for facing broader challenges, including economic crises and transnational security threats. 5. Domestic political context. Both the Cambodian and Thai governments face internal pressures that may influence their responses to the conflict. In Cambodia, Prime Minister Hun Sen's administration has historically used external conflicts to consolidate power and distract from domestic issues. Similarly, Thailand's political landscape is marked by its own struggles, where nationalistic fervor can be politically advantageous. These domestic factors are crucial in understanding the motivations behind military actions and diplomatic negotiations, but are often sidelined in broader analyses. Significance of these aspects. The significance of these overlooked elements lies in their potential to shape the future of regional stability in Southeast Asia. The interplay of historical grievances, economic ties, external influences, ASEAN's role, and domestic political dynamics creates a complex web that can either lead to resolution or escalate tensions further. 1. Long-term resolution strategies. Understanding the historical context and domestic pressures can inform more effective resolution strategies. Acknowledging these factors may lead to more nuanced diplomatic approaches that consider not just territorial claims but also the underlying sentiments driving nationalistic rhetoric. 2. Economic policies and regional cooperation. Highlighting the economic interdependence and potential consequences of instability may encourage collaborative economic policies that prioritize stability over territorial disputes. Regional stakeholders could be motivated to create frameworks that prevent conflicts from undermining economic growth. 3. Influence of external powers. Recognizing the role of external influences can lead to more proactive diplomatic engagement with international powers. By involving these actors in dialogues, regional leaders can work towards creating a more stable environment. Mitigating the risks of escalated conflict. 4. Strengthening ASEAN's role. The tensions present an opportunity for ASEAN to reaffirm its commitment to conflict resolution and regional stability. By successfully mediating the dispute, ASEAN could enhance its credibility and effectiveness, encouraging member states to prioritize multilateral solutions over unilateral actions. 5. Awareness of domestic political dynamics. Acknowledging the domestic political contexts of Cambodia and Thailand can lead to more effective international engagement strategies that consider the internal pressures leaders face. This understanding can promote dialogues that resonate with the political realities within each country. Conclusion. The border tensions between Cambodia and Thailand in 2025 are emblematic of the fragile geopolitical fabric of Southeast Asia. The significance of the overlooked aspects of this conflict, historical narratives, economic interdependence, external influences, ASEAN's credibility, and domestic political contexts cannot be overstated. A comprehensive understanding of these factors is essential for fostering a stable and peaceful regional environment, highlighting the need for sustained diplomatic efforts and regional cooperation. As the situation evolves, these insights will be critical for policymakers, analysts, and stakeholders invested in the future of Southeast Asia. 1. Historical context and nationalism. The long-standing territorial disputes between Cambodia and Thailand, particularly around the Preah Vihear Temple, are deeply rooted in history and national identity. The 1962 International Court of Justice ruling, which favored Cambodia, has not resolved tensions, and nationalistic sentiments in both countries fuel ongoing claims. This historical context is critical for understanding the motivations behind the current military escalations and the potential for future conflicts. Analyzing how historical grievances shape national policies and public opinion can provide insights into the dynamics of Southeast Asian geopolitics. 2. Military escalation and regional security. The military engagements reported in June 2025, including artillery exchanges and airstrikes, represent a significant escalation in hostilities that raises alarms about regional security. This point necessitates an in-depth analysis of the military strategies employed by both nations, the implications of increased military presence along the border, and how such actions may provoke further instability in Southeast Asia. The role of military posturing in shaping alliances and deterrence strategies among neighboring countries is also a crucial area for discussion. 3. Economic consequences and investment risks. The economic implications of the border tensions are profound, particularly concerning foreign investment and economic stability across Southeast Asia. The fears of prolonged instability affecting trade routes and market dynamics could deter investors, leading to a slowdown in economic growth. A thorough examination of how geopolitical conflicts impact economic strategies and investment decisions in the region, as well as the larger implications for ASEAN's economic integration, is vital for understanding the interplay between security and economics in Southeast Asia. For ASEAN's role in mediation and conflict resolution, the involvement of ASEAN as a mediator in the Cambodia-Thailand border tensions highlights the organization's significance in maintaining regional stability. Analyzing ASEAN's strategies, effectiveness, and limitations in addressing such disputes can provide valuable insights into the future of regional cooperation. This discussion can include the challenges ASEAN faces in uniting member states with divergent national interests, as well as the potential for ASEAN to enhance its role as a peacekeeping entity in Southeast Asia, thereby promoting a more stable geopolitical environment. 1. The Falklands War in 1982. The Falklands War was a conflict between Argentina and the United Kingdom over the disputed Falkland Islands, South Georgia and South Sandwich Islands. The war was triggered when Argentina invaded the islands on April 2, 1982, leading to a British military response. The UK under Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher dispatched a naval task force to reclaim the islands. The conflict lasted for about 10 weeks, resulting in the deaths of 649 Argentine and 255 British military personnel. The war ended with the Argentine surrender on June 14, 1982, and led to a prolonged dispute over the sovereignty of the islands. The implications for regional stability were significant, as the war heightened tensions between Argentina and the UK, influenced international relations in South America, and had lasting effects on Argentine politics. 2. The India-Pakistan War of 1965. The India-Pakistan War of 1965 was primarily fought over the disputed region of Kashmir, which has been a flashpoint between the two countries since their independence in 1947. In August 1965, Pakistan launched Operation Gibraltar, sending troops into Indian-administered Kashmir to incite an insurgency. India retaliated with a full-scale military response, leading to a war that lasted until September 1965. The conflict saw significant military engagements and territorial changes, although it ended in a stalemate with the Tashkent Agreement brokered by the Soviet Union. The war exacerbated tensions between India and Pakistan, solidifying their rivalry and impacting regional stability in South Asia, with both nations continuing to contest territorial claims. 3. The Sino-Vietnamese War 1979. The Sino-Vietnamese War was a brief but intense conflict fought between China and Vietnam in February 1979. The war was rooted in Vietnam's invasion of Cambodia to oust the Khmer Rouge, which was supported by China. China launched a military campaign into northern Vietnam, claiming to teach Vietnam a lesson for its actions in Cambodia. The conflict lasted about a month, with both sides suffering significant casualties. Although China withdrew its forces, the war led to a prolonged period of hostility between the two nations and had broader implications for regional stability in Southeast Asia. The war underscored the geopolitical tensions in the region, particularly regarding the influence of China and the dynamics of communist countries during the Cold War. Future outlook: predictions for the 2025 Cambodia-Thailand border tensions. The border tensions between Cambodia and Thailand in 2025 have significant implications for regional stability in Southeast Asia. As we look ahead, several predictions can be made based on current trends, historical context, and geopolitical dynamics. 1. Escalation of military engagements. Given the current trajectory of military actions and nationalist sentiments, there is a high likelihood that military engagements will escalate further. Both countries have demonstrated a readiness to use force, as seen with Thailand's airstrikes in response to perceived provocations from Cambodia. If skirmishes continue, there could be an increased risk of miscalculations leading to broader confrontations, involving not just the two nations but potentially drawing in regional powers. 2. Increased ASEAN involvement. The Association of Southeast Asian Nations, ASEAN, will likely play a critical role in mediating the tensions. As the conflict could undermine regional stability and economic integration, ASEAN may push for a more robust diplomatic framework, potentially establishing a conflict resolution mechanism specific to border disputes. The effectiveness of ASEAN in managing these tensions will be pivotal. If successful, it could strengthen the organization's relevance. If it fails, ASEAN's credibility could be questioned. 3. Economic consequences and investment shifts. The ongoing conflict is expected to deter foreign investments not only in Cambodia and Thailand but also in the broader Southeast Asian region. Investors typically seek stable environments, and prolonged uncertainty could lead to a reallocation of resources. Countries like Vietnam and Indonesia may benefit from this shift, as they could be seen as safer investment havens. This economic retraction could have cascading effects on regional supply chains and economic growth, impacting the ASEAN Economic Community's goals. 4. Rise of nationalism and domestic political pressures. Both Cambodia and Thailand may experience rising nationalism as a result of the tensions. Political leaders might leverage the conflict to consolidate power domestically, framing military actions as necessary for national pride and territorial integrity. This could lead to a cycle of militarization and populism, making it harder to de-escalate tensions and pursue diplomatic solutions. 5. Potential for external mediation. If bilateral efforts to resolve the conflict falter, external powers such as the United States or China might seek to mediate. Their involvement would be motivated by broader strategic interests in Southeast Asia, where maintaining stability is crucial for trade routes and regional influence. However, this could complicate the situation further, as external mediation may be viewed with suspicion or bias by either Cambodia or Thailand. 6. Sustainability of military resources. As both countries increase military spending to address the tensions, there will likely be significant long-term implications for their economies. Resources diverted from social programs and infrastructure development toward military enhancements could hinder economic growth and development. The sustainability of such military investments will be questioned, especially if the conflict does not yield tangible results. 7. Long-term territorial negotiations. In the longer term, there may be renewed efforts to negotiate territorial boundaries and resource sharing. The historical context of these disputes suggests that while militarized engagements could escalate, the eventual need for a diplomatic solution will likely emerge. This could involve international arbitration or a framework for joint resource management, particularly in areas rich in natural resources. 8. Impact on regional alliances. The tensions may lead to shifts in regional alliances. Countries in Southeast Asia may reassess their strategic partnerships based on how they perceive the responses of Cambodia and Thailand to the border issue. Nations might align more closely with either side depending on political, economic, and security interests, which could reshape the geopolitical landscape in the region. 9. Humanitarian impacts. As military actions intensify, there may be humanitarian consequences, including displacement of populations near the border and increased civilian casualties. This could lead to a humanitarian crisis that requires intervention by international organizations, further complicating the political landscape and placing additional pressure on both governments. Conclusion. The Cambodia-Thailand border tensions of 2025 represent a multifaceted challenge with far-reaching implications for Southeast Asia. The predictions outlined above highlight the potential pathways for conflict escalation, economic impact, and regional dynamics. While there are opportunities for diplomatic resolution, the entrenched nationalistic sentiments and military posturing pose significant barriers. The coming years will be critical in determining whether the region can navigate towards stability or if these tensions will escalate into a broader conflict. Continuous monitoring and proactive engagement by regional and international stakeholders will be essential to mitigate risks and promote peace in Southeast Asia.